Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we are going to be talking about freedom, baby. Let freedom ring. That's what we're going to be talking about. So you better strap in and get you some. You know, go grab your wife, go grab your husband, go grab your girlfriend, your boyfriend, go grab somebody, get you a cup of coffee, and let's talk about freedom. But before we get going, if you would, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, all that jazz. All right, well, we're talking about freedom because we know that Independence Day, the 4th of July, here in the good old US of A is coming right up. Look at that flag right there. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Little freedom, little stars and stripes. So Independence Day and freedom, you know, what was the catalyst behind this video? Obviously, with the 4th of July, has had the conversation swinging in that direction. However, today I was having a nice cup of coffee with my buddy Ken. You guys know him. He's the guy that rides the Triumph Tiger with me. You've seen him on the videos. Very, very intelligent, very articulate guy. So, Brother Ken, man, God bless you, man. Thank you for sharing your fount of knowledge with me today as we were talking about this. You know, Ken grew up in a family that was really cool. His father, we'll just say he was very military and very government-centered, you know. And likewise, you know, my family, my grandfather actually fought Nazis in World War II. He was buried under the old American flag. My father was in the Navy and then worked for the federal government for 30 years, and he was buried under that flag. My son, likewise, was in the Navy, and he will be buried under that flag. And me, I served the federal government for darn near a quarter of a century. So we all have a little bit of skin in the game. But Ken shared some things, some insight of things that I never got to experience because they traveled abroad because his father was in the military when he grew up. And in high school, he went into Berlin to play basketball. While in Berlin, he went over by Checkpoint Charlie. Now, I'd heard of Checkpoint Charlie, but I'm just going to plead my ignorance on some of this. I didn't really understand the magnitude of what all of these things were, the Berlin Wall and all that stuff. You know, you read about it in books, but if you were like me, you were just one of those kids who were like, yeah, you know, I'll learn just enough to make an A on the test, but it really doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Well, I'm going to drop a picture of a sign that he had right here. Now, this sign was right there at Checkpoint Charlie where you were going to go into the other side of the wall, communist control. And he was telling me there was Byzantine wiring, guard towers to keep people in. They didn't want people escaping. They actually had to put Byzantine wire down in the sewage system to keep people from trying to escape through the sewers. It was that bad. People wanted out that bad. People were shot and left to die in the wire out there. They actually tore down buildings near the wall so that people could not get over the wall. He told me that all the buildings as you looked over the wall were all black. They were looked soot covered. He couldn't tell if they had painted them black or if they were just soot covered. But anyway, he said it was a very, very bleak existence along that wall when you looked over there and you tried to see what you could see. It was real scary. And it was the first time in his life, although he had grown up in a military family, that he realized that there was a difference and there was freedom versus no freedom. It was a pivotal moment in his life, and to hear his story, I really wish I would have had cameras running while I was there, because the passion and the light in his eyes when he shared these stories was very, very inspiring to me. And so I began to realize how much I do take for granted, how much I waste and squander things. You know, I was telling him I feel like I waste a lot of time. You know, I retired over 10 years ago. Actually, February will be 11 years since I've retired. And I was having this feeling just recently that I'm wasting my time, that I'm not serving enough, that I'm not loving enough or working enough, that I'm not fit enough, that I'm not trying hard enough to give back. And Ken was telling me, he goes, man, if the benchmark is how busy you are and how you don't waste time, he goes, brother, you waste less time in a year, man. He goes, if you took the time that I waste in a month, that's probably 5-10 years of your time that you waste. So thank you for saying that. I do really try, but I do feel like I squander too much time. And so we sat down and we had these ideas. What do we have to do to really, really appreciate our freedom? And what do we have to do to keep our freedoms? You know, I believe it was John Jay who said that a citizenry that basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, if to exercise our freedoms without responsibility, we are destined to be ruled by despots. We have to be a responsible citizenry within our freedom. You know, laws can't cover our morality and our basic understandings of freedom. We do have to be a responsible people. So understanding that, and everything that I'm going to be saying here is not political, by the way. This is not politics. This isn't about whether you're liberal or conservative, or you live in a red state or a blue state or a purple state, or even what country you live in. These are things that, you know, when I draw correlations to things, obviously they're going to be from my paradigm in my country. But these things are applicable everywhere. So here are some of the thoughts that we had on how to keep our freedoms. All right. So number one, here's how you keep your freedoms. You have to exercise them. You know, just like with your muscles. If you want your muscles you want that bicep to stand up, you got to exercise it. You want to run fast, you have to exercise those lungs. You have to get out and run. And the same thing with your freedoms, you have to exercise your freedoms. Now, I'm not saying break laws. I'm saying exercise your freedoms within the confines of the law. Exercise your freedoms. Exercise your rights in this country. Whatever the rights are in your country, it's going to be different than here. But our Constitution in the United States gives us the freedom of assembly, the freedom to have a dissenting voice, the freedom to go to church and worship in the way that you deem necessary, that you want to do. Exercise those freedoms. You know, if you don't agree with something, you can agreeably disagree. You know, we can, you know, even politically in this country, we can disagree with one another. We don't have to hate one another. And I'm going to tell you, whether you're a religious person or not, the one thing you don't want the government doing is shutting churches down. Do you know how much good churches do in this country? A lot. I'll just tell you that. They do a lot. The amount of money, the amount of service that is given, that honestly I've been a part of, where we just go out and serve communities. Man, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. The Second Amendment in this country, the right to bear arms. Now, that's a controversial one with a lot of people, but we do have the right to bear arms in this country, and that doesn't mean shave our arms. That means to carry a firearm. You know what? Legally exercise your rights, or you'll lose them. That's just the way it is, whether you agree or disagree. It's irrelevant. If you don't want that right, that's something entirely different than don't exercise that right. If you don't want that right. But if you want to have that right, you need to exercise it. You know, we have the right to vote. Get out there and vote. Even if you disagree with me or disagree with the other guy, doesn't matter. Get out there and vote. Exercise your rights. That's how you keep your freedoms. You keep your freedoms by first exercising them. You know, just to be able to get on this beautiful Spyder here and go out for a ride, I don't have to ask anyone. I don't have to have special papers to cross state lines and all that stuff. I take that for granted. Get out there and move and enjoy it. The next thing we have to do, number 2, so we have to exercise them. The next thing we have to do, we have to appreciate them. So it's one thing to say you appreciate them, and it's another thing to actually appreciate them. You know, in order to appreciate your freedoms, you have to also appreciate the freedom of the guy that you don't necessarily agree with. You have to appreciate the fact that they have the right to have a dissenting opinion. You know, we need to celebrate the fact that we can have an opinion and that we can we can exercise those freedoms. We need to appreciate it. We need to savor the flavor, baby. You know, it's like eating that candy bar. You put that chocolate in your mouth and you just taste it and you go, "Whoa, it's so sweet." You know, that's the same thing. You gotta savor the flavor of your freedoms. Recognize them, observe them, appreciate them. Number 3, well, we're moving along quick now. You gotta know them. You gotta know what they are. You know, if you don't know what your freedoms are, you can't exercise them, because you're just going to be going on the words of other people. Know the laws of your land. Know what you can and cannot do. You know, you do. There is that responsibility. That's that. We have to be a responsible citizenry. But you have to know the freedoms that you have so that you can exercise them properly. If you don't, well, then you're just running around in circles. You know, when I was talking earlier about the idea, the feeling that I've been wasting time, I heard a sermon from Pastor Tim over at Epiphany Lutheran Church. How you doing, brother? And I want to tell you that it was on baptism and how you have to feel that freedom, that nourishment every day. You have to get up and be baptized every day to walk in that freedom. And you know, we have to do the same thing with our rights. We have to look for them every day. We have to appreciate them every day. You know, every day when you get up and you take that breath of life into your lungs, be thankful that you have another day, and that you have another day that you have the rights to do what you want to do, to be a good person, to be a good citizen, to be a positive human being, to change the world for good, to be good. Man, to be a faithful friend, a loyal spouse, to work hard, you know, to earn the turkey that you put in your pot. You know, it's important. Man, to be a, you know, I used to tell my children, I want you to be a piece of the fabric, the actual fabric that holds this society together. You have to be a small strand. And if you do that, you can achieve greatness. It really is true. Well, if you can't tell that I'm on fire for freedom, then you know, you're not picking up on the vibe. I am on fire for it. I love where I live. I do. I love this country. There are many things that I see on TV that I don't even recognize, because I don't see that in my day-to-day life. I just don't. You know, we've crossed this country twice, once east to west, once north to south. And I want to tell you something. In this country, I don't care what color you were. I don't care what religion you were. I don't care what financial demographic you are a part of. Everyone that we came into contact with, they were all amazing. They were all amazing. It just goes to show you, if you eat the poison, if you live in that echo chamber, if you bring up the videos that espouse irritation and dissension and stupidity and anger, I promise you that's what your life is going to be. That's what it's going to be. You know, the prayer of serenity talks about changing the things that you can, accepting the things that you can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, there's a lot in there. I'm not going to break all that down. I think that most of you get that. But the reality is that we don't always exercise that, and we need to. I am going to head to the house right now, and I'm going to give Coach Vic a big old hug, and I'm going to kiss her smack dab on the lips. And she is going to laugh and giggle like a schoolgirl, because we have the total freedom to love one another. And I love my wife. And you know, I think she made some meatballs, which makes me even love her even more, with some garlic bread and a salad. Man, it's going to be good. I got the freedom to eat a lot of food and get fat. All right, well, there you have it. A little bit on the good old US of A, Independence Day spirit of freedom. There it is. Man, get out on the open road and experience the freedom. Count your blessings every single day. And until next time, let me stop at this stop sign. Full stop. Accelerating. Woo. All right. But until next time, you do me a favor, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, baby, you are doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and I will see you on the road real soon, because we're free, baby. We are free. Let's get out there and ride.